Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you can all hear me. If you can you please type yes in the chat box? I have a question before we start. Can everybody type in the chat box? And can I see if people write in the chat box? If you could help me with that before we start. Okay, and when participants write, or can participants write in the chat box? Yes, okay. So if you do write in the chat box, okay, I'd be very happy to see what you all write as well, because we are going to be using the chat box as well. Now, I would like to welcome you all. This is going to be a session on communication crisis, breakdown on how we can actually get over communication barriers in online teaching as well. Now, my name is Duygu ERDOÐAN. I've been a teacher for 20 years now, so I understand you. I feel you guys when we talk about virtual learning, online learning and communication issues. I work for Unlimited Educational Services. I've been a teacher trainer for almost 5.5 years now, just trying to share my experience. That is all. Let me start by sharing my screen. Okay, let's see if you guys can see my screen as well. Okay, and I think you can all see my screen. Okay, all right. Let's get started. Now, effective communication, as Jim Rohn describes, says that it is 20% of what you know, and 80% is actually what you feel about what you know. So when we talk about communication, either face-to-face or online, we are talking about things deeper just than sending a verbal message. Okay, so let's dig into it a little bit more. Okay, before I start, ladies and gentlemen, I live in Izmir. Time to time here in Izmir, we may have some problems with the internet because it's very windy today. But if we have any technical difficulties and I disappear, please don't worry and don't panic. Just get up, walk around, stretch your legs. I'll be back by looking at link, going into the link. If you freeze, just come back to the link again. Now, today's agenda, we're going to be looking at how everything started. We are going to be looking at what effective communication is, communication skills are, the barriers for effective communication. Especially, we're going to be focusing on the differences between face-to-face and online teaching and how communication differs in both of them. Okay, and how to maintain effective communication in online lessons. Okay, so let's get started then. How it all started. Now, I think we all remember that day. It was March 2020, and I think it was the year when actually English language teaching leaped a step forward. Okay, we all changed lots of things. The world turned upside down, so we did as well. So before everything, guys, you need to give yourselves a big round of applause because you have survived, you have trained yourself, you have learned a lot, and you have trained your learners as well. But this is how things started. So when somebody asked how language teaching went, it was like, 1 hour is like a lot of years here. So this was back in March 2020. Okay, and then this was actually another meme that I like is when someone says that, you're a teacher, Duygu, you're so lucky. I was like, am I really during this pandemic time? I'm not sure about that. And then there were times when we started teaching online and it was all about, usernames and passwords and Zooms and Teams and all different types of platforms that we need to learn, plus teach and train our learners as well. And then we had team meetings. I am 39 years old, so if you're around the same age as me, you might remember this mini television series where people would talk from little boxes. So these were how our team meetings looked like. I can see Pınar Hocam. Okay, thank you for turning on your camera. And then I actually had some times when I, by mistake, used the different jack to plug in my headphone, and my learners did not say anything. So this was kind of like the summary of 2020 for me, and I don't know if you guys feel with me. Now, Jen Hemstra, when we first started teaching, and you'll get what I'm going from, it was the morning after. Okay, for us, this was 16th of March, and then in April, this is what she said. She said that as teachers, what we're doing is it was emergency remote teaching. So all of us, we wanted to carry our own face-to-face lessons online. What we did was brilliantly working on how to teach speaking, how to teach writing, how to teach vocabulary, how to teach effective grammar, how can we get these kids speaking in online lessons. So it was all about these teaching skills. But there was one very important thing that we also need to work on, which is the communication. Okay, so what did we do? Okay, tell me if you have done these. Okay, we learned how to use video conferencing tools. I have to tell you, I always saw, you know, Zoom, and I think companies use that more, but as a teacher, I'd never used one. So I started to use Zoom and learn Zoom, and my two favorite lines, can you hear me? Can you see me? I still keep that. As teachers, we learned how to deal with technical issues, you know, internet, audio, headphones, everything, how to use online tools for lesson delivery, games. We opened our homes to everyone through cameras. You know, while you're teaching students, you're also teaching parents, sometimes grandmas, I don't know, but everybody, okay? And then we use a lot of WhatsApp and similar apps. I can understand if you, like me, receives messages from other teachers, students, or even parents sometimes, we can't upload this homework and it's like midnight and the system is going to shut down. And then we learned how to balance personal life and work life. And if you are a female teacher, I don't want to do any discrimination, but I think break times were used to, you know, do the laundry, do the dishes, cook in between, and sometimes do some ironing. So this is what a break looked like for us at home. Sorry, gentlemen, but this is how it looked like for most of the female teachers. We learned how to manage our time more effectively, and most importantly, we learned netiquette of the online world. And this is what we're going to look at today. So when we say netiquette, okay, netiquette is short for internet etiquette. So just like we have etiquette in real life, describing the polite behavior, netiquette is a code of good behavior on the internet. So this is something as teachers we need to train our learners as well. Just because they're not on camera, just because sometimes they're not, using their microphones, does not give them the right to violate the good code of behavior. So we also need to teach them how to avoid posting inflammatory or offensive comments online. This is something we should be teaching. Not trolling people in web forums or websites, repeatedly nagging or annoying them. Okay, not to, same thing, and thank others who help you online. So this is something very important. We need to teach our students to thank each other in the lesson, and same likewise to their teacher as well. So it's a time for change. What changed? Mindset changed. Lesson planning changed. Okay, students and relationships and rapport changed. Tools change, you're online, and type of activities change. If you were in the classroom, you would use flashcards, posters, pictures, realia. You would take them to the classroom. But now our tools have changed, so the activity types have changed. They're either online or offline tools. But most importantly, relationships have changed. That rapport, when we used to go into the classroom, look in the eyes of the students and tell them, how do you feel today? And we could actually understand how they felt. Now we kind of have some barriers, okay? Now, let's go to the chat box, okay? What do you think is effective communication? So how would you actually complete this? So effective communication is what? In the chat box, if you two section, okay, look at the two section, make sure it says everyone so we can all see. Let's try to make this session as interactive as possible, because I think we're coming to the end of today's webinars. So I know that you guys are tired, but let's try to keep it moving. So it's caring and sharing. Thank you, Pınar'cığım. Yes, definitely. How about my other participants? Hocalarım, what do you think? Come on, let's do what we preach to the students. We always tell them to participate in the lessons. Now it's our time to do what we preach. Thank you. Be aware of our students' needs, definitely. Okay, so both Pınar Hocam and Seba Hocam, they are focusing on the trust issue, okay? Keeping students involved, definitely. So active learning needs to be there. Interaction needs to be there. And this interaction needs to be from teacher-student and then student-student as well. Okay, engagement, definitely. Emre Hocam says, be able to take human needs into consideration. Yes. And Emre Hocam, I do agree with you, because in the class, we used to sit down with our learners and ask them, like, how do you feel? Are you okay? You seem a bit off today. What's happening? And we would, grab our learners' attention and interest, and they would say, oh, my teacher cares about me. So this is a bit more difficult, well, in my case, with the learners, because I can't sometimes really get what's happening. Thank you very much for all the participation in the chat box, but we're going to go to the chat box again. Thank you, Emre Hocam. So let's move on. As you all said, okay, this is all. But looking in the dictionary, just communicating means, pass on an information, news, thoughts, spread to another or others. But I was going to say the things that you guys said. Communication is more than this. Communication is what Emre Hocam said, taking human needs into consideration. What Pınar Hocam said, interaction, engagement, okay? Empathy. What Nilgün Hocam said, keeping the learners involved. What Sabah Hocam said, be aware of their needs. So we need to actually take and put the learners in the center of this communication. And yes, with empathy as well, okay? So effective communication, okay, not only means, but now it only means activating microphones. Yes, Buğra Hocam, you are right. And sometimes I have a hard time, especially with teenagers and young adults, to get my learners turn on their cameras or even microphones. Very difficult, okay? Now, effective communication is the process of exchanging ideas, thoughts, knowledge. So we need to make sure that we can we should make it a process, because in the lesson we also have an objective. We need to meet the objectives of the lesson as well, but we have to make sure that we have effective communication. Unless we can communicate with our learners, understand their needs, we can't teach them anything, and there won't be anything in the learning process other than the, us sharing the screen. So let's move on, okay? So when we say, communication, it's the clear message. If you're teaching language, what kind of a message do you want to give? It should be correct, it should be complete, precise. Now, precise is very important in terms of online education. We don't have the luxury to stretch the lessons, because people get bored. After 15 minutes, we tend to lose our learners, okay? And it needs to be, the message needs to have, reliability. We need to consider the learners, okay? So let's move on. Now, when we look at effective communication skills that we need to teach our learners, on the left bottom corner, you see an orange box. It says self-confidence, self-efficacy, clarity, brevity, nonverbal communication, and emotional intelligence. So literature says that everybody, we need to have these skills so that we have effective communication skills. Now, when you look at these definitions, we're going to go to the chat box again. Let's see if we can match them. Now, the first one says, I'm reading the first blue big box, the rectangular box. The message must be drafted in simple words. So we need to use simple words. It should be clear and precise to create the desired impact of the receiver. So we should have a clear message. Which skill do you think this is? Okay, says Nilgün Hocam, clarity and brevity. Thank you, Nilgün Hocam. See, if we had face-to-face sessions, we would probably have a prize, have candies, chocolate, whatever all around the session. See, even these, we miss those days. Thank you, Emre Hocam, as well. Now, the second one. A person must be emotionally aware and the ability to influence others. Okay, what do you think about this one? So emotional awareness, yes. So we need to have some emotional intelligence. It's not only, IQ, but it's also nowadays EQ. How aware are you of the learners and the needs? What about the third one? So having faith in yourself. Now this one, the third one, is about yourself, believing in yourself, knowing that you can do it, and knowing your capability. Which one do you think this is? Okay, self-confidence. Let me change that just a little bit and turn it to self-efficacy. Efficacy means the faith and the knowledge about yourself, okay? The higher self-efficacy, the more that you know what you can do. Okay, the next one is what you guys said actually was about confidence. Okay, so you are confident in front of the camera, you know what you're doing. This is my online lessons and I know how to get my learners to do that. And the last one is going to be nonverbal communication. Now, you might have a question. We are teaching online. If the cameras are off, what are we going to do with nonverbal communication? Any suggestions? Because in the classroom, if there's a classroom management issue, we would roll our eyes, look at the students, or sometimes just stare at the learners. See, nonverbal communication, I'm managing my classroom. So the two boys at the back of the classroom, they're just chatting and not listening to me. And I would go like, okay. But let's say that this is happening in the classroom and no cameras. How can we continue nonverbal communication? What I do with some of my learners is using the async time. Okay, this time we don't see each other, it's not online, but I try to use the asynchronous, the offline time as efficiently as possible. So what I do is I organize activities for the learner so they can do it outside the lesson. Okay, this one we're going to skip because we all said, but the barriers for us in face-to-face lesson was this one, ambiguity and disorganization. However, okay, now these are the barriers. Would you agree with me, hocalarım? Cameras, microphones, lack of authority, control, human touch, body language, the group that you're dealing with, teenagers, they're bored, they have other issues, their psychology, right? So these are the barriers that we have. And sometimes it's very difficult to get over them. So as teachers, in order to communicate effectively, and I'm going to use your ideas, we need to have this empathy and make sure that our learners feel that we understand them. So when you look at the brain, the information enters from the spinal cord, and it's the limbic system that we want to hit. So because it's, remember the first quote, it's 20% of what you hear, but it's 80% of how you feel. Okay, so we need to make sure that they feel heard, so they feel understood. So empathy, okay, their needs should be there. Okay, now how does communication differ? Apparently, we know, thank you, Meryem Hocam. In face-to-face teaching, lots of things. We ask questions, we ask how they are. But what about online teaching? Do you have any tactics in order to keep communication going before I dig into some of the activities? What do you guys think in online lessons, okay? Because this is a sharing platform. So if you have any strategies, please do share with us. This is what I do to keep communication going. Any ideas? Like cameras are off, but what can I do? Microphones are off. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Emre Hocam. Can you hear me? I can understand you very well. I mean, sometimes they just no microphones, and sometimes it's, you feel, I mean, I feel bad. I don't know if you have it. So I feel like, am I really talking to someone, or is it just me? I don't know. Well, the key, in my opinion, is contact. So I am present in an online lesson, but when they turn off their computers, I need to be present. So I need to continue my presence outside the lesson as well. My first idea is, look at your learners. They have cell phones. They have very technological cell phones, and maybe they have better cell phones that we do, better computers that we do. But my question is, how IT literate are they? They are good at using Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and all the other TikToks and all the things that I don't know about. But when it comes to really educational tools, when I look at my learners, I saw that they are not good at it. So the first key is we need to train them. Do they really? I mean, if you can spare some moment when you use something new, I mean, like, let's say Kahoot. Everybody knows Kahoot now, and you are safe and they are safe. But whenever we tell them to do something on another platform, let's say you want to use Crises, or you want to send them a poll, or you want to direct them to Google Documents. So let's say they are going to do writing, and you want them to use Google Documents. Do they really know how to use Google Documents. They may not know. And the problem is they don't tell us that they don't know. So we have to demo everything that we want in the lesson so that they keep going. Pınar Hocam has a very good idea as well. She mutes herself. So this is like my face-to-face rolling your eyes. So they start speaking. They might even say, where is the teacher? Where has she gone? I have later learned that some of the students said, Hocam, you gave us an assignment. I was supposed to go on Google Documents. I don't know how to share it. I don't know how to open it. I don't know how to save it. So please train your learners. Don't assume that they know it. They are teenagers, but they are not, trust me, good at educational tools so that they feel safe. Now, sense of belonging. In your face-to-face lessons, we had a classroom physically where we had all our learners, and it was a sacred place for both parties. It was good for us and it was good for them. We need to establish the same routines. Remember face-to-face, when you went to the classroom, you had a chit-chat. Sometimes you would just stop the lesson and talk to them. You created a safe environment. We have to do the same thing here so that they feel safe enough to turn on their camera so they don't like, işte beni ayıplar mı? If I say something bad or do I look ugly? We need to make sure that they have a safe environment. And the best thing is to do routines. At the beginning of each lesson, please state your objectives. In this lesson, ladies and gentlemen, or in today's three lessons, we are going to learn about this. So at the end of this session, you will be able to do this. Tell them so that it's not an unknown dark world for them. Okay, so start the lessons with their objectives and end the lessons. What did we learn today? And establish routines. Make sure that you have some routines, and the learners can also do these routines. For example, have them, you can play a song. So as they enter your lesson, drop into your Zoom or platform, they could, there's some music here. And sometimes you can ask them, why don't you play some music? Start with a riddle, a brain teaser while waiting for the others. Chit chats. Sometimes ask your learners to start the lesson. Homework check, we have to do it sometimes. Kahoots and quizzes. Now, are you ready for a brain teaser? Because I'm going to ask you one. Okay, let's go to the chat box. This is something I used, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. All right, so I'm going to start my lesson. Let's see, maybe Monday you can try this. What can you hold without ever touching or using your hands? So this is something you hold, but no touching. What can you hold? So hold, but no touching. Any ideas? Someone's attention, says Nilgün Hocam. Any other? Hold your thoughts. Good. My brain. Okay, what else? How about hold your, thank you. Okay, Buğra Hocam and Pınar Hocam got the answer key, but the others were my aims. So hold your breath. So I actually started a vocabulary lesson with a brain teaser because I wanted to teach them collocation. So you can hold your breath, you can hold your thoughts, you can hold a meeting, you can hold an online lesson, okay? So teach them collocations, but start by getting their attention. One more, are you ready? Okay, the second question. Which word in English is 5 letters? So you write 5 letters, but you read with only one. So, yay, okay, Buğra already got it. Q. So once again, the reason why I started was that day was a writing lesson. So it was going to be a writing lesson, and you know how difficult it is to do writing lessons. So I wanted to do the pre-writing session in the online lesson so they could write it outside, but I wanted to emphasize the differences, okay, for writing and speaking. So try starting your session with brain teasers, and if you just go to Google and write brain teasers riddles for ELT classes, you will find lots of these, and trust me, the kids like it. Or what I do is I finish the lesson with these 2 and I say, tomorrow morning, I'm going to start the lesson with these 2. So I'm giving them a need. I'm creating a need for them to outside the lesson, look for something. So they're interested. And I tell them tomorrow morning, the first person to find the answers, you have a prize, something. Okay, it's something, it has to be online though. So I'm going to say, I'm going to send you a song, or today is your day. Whatever you want to do, we're going to do it. Okay. So make sure that you have, you add this fun element with routines. Now, the second one, please inform your learners. Now, I know that we cannot change the school lesson program or or your program, but you can change what you do in the lesson. What do I mean? Let's say that you are going to do that day a reading lesson and a language lesson, or that week. On Monday, ask your learners, arkadaşlar, this week we're on unit 6. We're going to be doing this, 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 and this, and we're going to be reading about a text on technology. So we're going to practice scanning and skimming. How about asking them to find a reading text? You can give them some websites so that they don't go all over, but give them the option. And sometimes ask them, arkadaşlar, I know it's Friday, it's afternoon, you guys are tired. I have 2 options for you. Do you want to do the reading now, or do you want to do the listening now? As a teacher, you're going to do both of them, but ask them, what do you want to do? So let them own the lesson, so they feel that, okay, this is my area. We chose to do reading. Just ask them, okay, turn on your cameras and raise your hands. How many of you want to do reading and listening? Just invite them. This is not going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen over a month. Trust me, try it. Let them own the lesson, okay? And personalize the lesson. You do a reading on technology because it's in the book. But the girls are not interested. Ask the learners, what are you interested in? Architecture, okay? You can easily practice the same reading main skill and sub skill. Just spare some extra activity. Let Ayşe, Fatma, Emre, or Ali find the text, give them the website, and then they can actually bring the text, and you can still do the same objective, okay? So they should also be decision makers. So they know that our teacher values us. She knows my needs, and there is empathy, okay? And all the more you're giving them a reason to turn up. If you tell Ayşe and Emre to bring a song for the lesson, they have a reason to come back. Now, these are all the activities you do in the lesson. Lots of things, okay? So when they leave the lesson, give them the text. But don't tell them to read the text and answer the questions. Read the text and bring 2 questions. You write the question this time, okay? Or make sure that you create a forum outside the lesson. Let's say a Google document, very easily. Please go into these. Or a Padlet wall is my strong suggestion. Open a Padlet wall. Just go to padlet.com, create a wall. Think about it as post-its. So ask them, read the text about technology and tell me if you liked it or not. And they write their ideas there. And as a classroom, you can all see it. Please use these tools, okay? I have 1 more minute, so I'm going to be wrapping up, okay? The learners can, if you're working with junior high and above, they can prepare Kahoots, help them. They can prepare questions for reading. They can prepare a poster to present their ideas. But outside your lesson, in order to have effective communication, they have to be doing some work so they come to the lesson. And these are all suggestions coming from learners, okay? So that they can start the lesson or end the lesson, prepare a post. Don't push them at the beginning. Make sure that some of them, and you will have volunteers, okay? And be present outside your lesson. Keep communication going. Create a Padlet wall. Ask them if they want to have some time to discuss with you. Make sure that you are available. Asynchronous chat rooms. They are safe chat rooms for education. Maybe you can use that. You can open a Google document so they can all write and see at the same time. You can send them Kahoot quizzes. They can prepare some questions and you can add, you can just write the question at the end, say Ali. So we know that this is Ali's question. So they feel there. So you are not there. It's not an online lesson, but outside the lesson, communication is going on. It's not like, you know, one online lesson and then another online lesson. Okay. And most importantly, I'm finishing up. Okay. It's this. We need to build relationships, be mindful of the broader school environment. It's not only your lesson. Respect is mutual. Okay, boundaries, please. Okay, we need to make them feel safe, but we need to also have boundaries. They need to be present in the lesson. They need to come on time and leave on time and model what you want. Okay, please. This is going to be important. Okay, so recapping, listening actively, responding genuinely, being present, not only in online lessons, but offline lessons as well. Make it meaningful. Ask them to bring a text. Give them responsibility. Arkadaşlar, please go to this website, The Guardian Weekly, for example. There are lots of newspaper readings. And give them the link, let's say elementary, intermediate. Go to this and bring a text that you like, and we will use the text that you want to. Okay? Create a safe environment. Make sure that they know that they are valued in your lesson, and never ever engage in arguments in online lessons, because we always lose. So in many ways, effective communication with mutual respect, communication that inspires and encourages others to do their best, as Zig Ziglar says. And I do agree with you. So when we look at all these barriers, although they don't turn on their cameras or microphones, we need to teach them and train them. They're not IT literate, and we need to give them some options to be with us as well. Okay, and I would like to thank all of you. I think I'm on time. I got it for 1 minute. Thank you very much. And I hope I was a bit of a help. I put my email address once again. If you happen to use any of the ideas, and if they work, please do drop me a line. I would love to hear about it. And well, most importantly, thank you for sparing your time. It's Saturday afternoon and giving this lovely time to me. I hope that we can meet face to face as well. So thank you very much. And I would like to thank the host of this webinar for having me as a guest as well. Thank you very much, everybody. Wishing you a fruitful day.